You can start.
Oh, you want me to start the podcast this time? All right. Well, welcome everyone to our new weekly podcast, which is right now we have a name for it. Finally, we are going to call it Intercultural Concierge. I am pronouncing that right. I checked several dictionaries, and this was the one I found. Concierge. So we are that. We are going to uh, introduce, talk about cultures, different aspects of cultures in different topics. And I am one of the co-hosts. My name is Serkan, and with me I have my beloved friend and my co-host Jordan. Hi, Jordan.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks. What about you? How was your week?
Weekend. Right now it's Monday over here, and I have spent the day actively job hunting.
Hmm.
Still trying to get paid. We're not getting paid for this as of yet. We don't have any sponsors, but um, I definitely have noticed that my cover writing abilities have improved incrementally, and I think I just wrote the best cover letter of my life today.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm
What was it
sure I
about?
will.
What did you
It's
write?
it's just a standard cover letter.
And then
But
why are you calling it the best one of your life? I thought you wrote something
well, I just,
interesting in
I
it.
just think it was well written. I think when you're writing resumes or cover letters, you always kind of cut and paste or borrow some ideas or some phrasing or wording from other
No.
ones.
No, you don't. You're just lazy. You write a different cover letter for each company you're applying to. Oh, just so lazy.
from scratch.
Yeah, from scratch. No,
I
no,
guess
I'm
I
just
guess
messing
that
with you. Yeah, you're
explains
right.
that explains why you don't have a job either.
No, I wish it did. Then I would at least get someone to write a cover letter for me and get a job. But sadly, no. Cover letters are the least of my worries. So no, sadly. No. All right
Yeah.
then. All
But
right.
so today we're going to talk about is something which is the polar opposite of working.
Hmm.
Right, we're going to be talking about something involving play, which is a massive form
Musical
of
instruments.
entertainment,
No.
um, a form of entertainment which I know both you and I enjoy, and
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. But millions and perhaps billions of people on the planet are into video games,
True, true,
and
so
this
true.
is a multi-billion, maybe multi-trillion-dollar global industry,
Hmm.
and we're going to get into that and explore that stuff today.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like, this is something I personally love talking about it, besides doing it, besides playing video games. So, yeah, I'm hyped, even
So
though I
I know
didn't show it. Yeah.
video games, of course, something we both enjoy, but actually we have never really enjoyed playing with each other. Why do you suppose that is?
Because you only play casual mobile games, that's why.
That's
You're
that's factually
casual.
incorrect. I'm a casual. Okay. Well, then I think we can work our way up to that. So why don't
Yeah.
you, if you don't mind, share a little bit about your history with video games, and then you can lead up to what type of games you like playing, which a
Okay.
casual like myself wouldn't like, why you like them, etc. Go ahead.
So it's a bit long story, but I will make it short. So the first time I played a video game, I think was maybe around the age of 4 or 5, and you know the consoles. I forgot the name. It was just after game consoles such as Commodore, before Sega Genesis or something like that. It was like very random, game console. It didn't have a unique name, but that's how I started with stuff like Mario. I didn't have a Nintendo, but the console I had Mario and 10 other games in it. So that's how I started.
You,
If you,
it was a Turkish Mario. I don't.
it's
How
a,
would you
like a
say
counterfeit game console, or
Marco?
no, the name was Mario. It was literally Mario. Nothing different than the Nintendo version, but it was on a non-Nintendo device, which is, I believe, they're like counterfeit consoles or like third-party
So
consoles,
it was
something
like a
like that.
bootleg kind of.
That's how I started, but I quickly transitioned or switched to PC gaming at the age of 6 or 7. My dad's company, I used to go to my dad's office, and in his office he I would play games such as Prince, and after a while, other floppy disk games such as Doom and stuff like that. And that's how I started. And from then on, I believe predominantly, I played video games on PC. Yes, I owned a PlayStation 3, but it was just out of curiosity because I wanted to play some of the games on the console that was not available on PC. That was the main reason I owned a console. But for me, I was mainly a PC gamer, and I think that
Why
pretty
is
much
that?
sums it up. Yeah.
Why are you have you been a PC gamer and not a console gamer, or and I believe you're not much of a mobile gamer.
No, I don't enjoy to play mobile games at all. The reasons are different though. The reasons why I don't like console games and the reason why I don't like mobile games are different. The reason I don't
Well,
like to play on
don't keep the
console
audience waiting.
is simply because PC is technologically advanced and superior. Like if you think about consoles, they are actually budget PCs. They are, small devices sold at a fixed price with fixed hardware, and then the games that are designed or developed for them has to adhere those limitations, and therefore they end up creating or developing an inferior product. And you can see that difference when that same game, you know, uh, ports over to PC, and you can play it in an advanced, graphics or advanced details. And the second reason is because I'm more like a keyboard and mouse person. I literally learned how to enjoy using a gamepad after owning a gamepad for PC. Like it literally took me a few years to adjust myself to be able to play certain games on gamepad, which to a certain extent it is better. It's better than keyboard and mouse, such as action games, other stuff. But again, personal preference on that point. Mobile
So
mobile games, yeah. Go ahead.
no, so I guess the high end performance, like top shelf
Hmm,
graphics, top shelf performance, that's what appeals to you.
yeah, yeah, like literally it. Uh, Mobile games, on the other hand, is just they're just trash. They're just money grabs. I'm not even sure. Like they are technically called games, but when you compare any of the mobile games to PC games or even console games, they're just utter trash. Reason for that is one, the monetization aspect of it. They are called freemiums, and then the whole reason many of these games exist on mobile phones is to just earn money off of uh
So
microtransactions.
off of and cell phone addiction, mobile
Yeah,
game addiction.
and I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy the game I'm playing if I'm constantly bothered with ads and also microtransactions. So again, the things you can do on a mobile phone is limited. Like that's also a limitation for game development. Like you cannot, like there are some amazing games on mobile phone. I have witnessed some, especially I believe a decade ago, while the smartphones were new. So some of the game
Well, that was
development,
a Pong. I think they called that Pong.
yes, is a term. The Pong of mobile phone games were great because serious companies took the challenge and they developed really amazing games. But after that, it's a mess right now. And I get it. Like you cannot do much with smartphones, not just because of
Yeah,
technical limitations.
I think I think what smartphones, they have the benefit of being mobile, right? And so I think that in the United States, mobile. And we're going to talk about the mosquito almost over here. We're going to talk about like some of the cultural implications that like that play out as far as gaming cultures in different in respective countries,
Hmm.
but like especially a country like Korea, and we'll talk about this more. Tons, like millions and millions of people every day are, commuting via public transportation, not driving, and
Yeah.
they are in like potentially oppressive subway or bus conditions where they're packed in like sardines. So they're looking for any form of escape they can get, and so mobile games actually perform that role admirably, in my
Well,
opinion.
if they want to play games while they commute, they can easily purchase a portable gaming device, a portable gaming console such as PlayStation Vita, the one that I have, Nintendo Switch. Like there are devices to do that, and
But why do they? But maybe they don't desire to get into gaming that deeply. But just
hmm,
since they already have a phone which works well enough, they can just
so
use
they
the
are
free game.
casuals. I
Or
know, like that's what we call, or what I call, especially them casuals. They are casual gamers. Gamers. So they're not into gaming, but they still enjoy playing games while they commute, while they wait, while they do something. So that's why I use the term casual. And the video games which are developed for them for casuals are not enjoyable for me. They are
mm,
way too simple.
why do you sound so condescending when you say casuals?
It is. I am condescending. Like casual gamers are the lowest level of gamers in terms of gaming skills. It is a
I mean,
condescending
I guess
term, that's correct.
that's a debatable
It's
point.
not
But
debatable.
so
Casuals are not.
the lowest form.
Let me think.
I mean, I don't think it necessarily
Let's
speaks
say
to
one of
skill.
the
I think
lowest
it speaks.
forms.
I would say it speaks to commitment, right? Like I don't think it necessarily is an evaluation of their ability to game. It just is how much of their life are they willing, and money and time are they willing to devote
Mhm.
into video games. And if it's not that much, then I would call them a casual for
Okay,
sure.
one, yes, commitment is a factor when determining if someone is a casual or not. But there are many people who play mobile games day and night, and they are still casual because they are like
How do you figure?
they are not into games that much. Like they still enjoy
They're
playing
playing day
games
and night.
a
If you're
lot.
playing day and
Yes,
night, I think then you are no longer considered a casual.
but the problem is
I think
the
a
other
casual is
factor is
someone with
skill.
like with a. I'm sorry.
The other factor is skill. Like let's say one factor is commitment, the other one is skill. How good you are at playing games. Like if you are just playing mobile games with your one hand, with your one finger, doing nothing much, just clicking on stuff, that's playing a game. That's correct. But when we talk about gaming, we also include competitive gaming that which we are going to discuss later on, and also playing games that
But
require
you're
skill.
saying but you're talking about skills which at games that you deem to be at a higher skill level necessarily. But
Yes.
I bet you that there are some grandmas out there in Korea who would whoop your ass at Cookie Crunch on their phone. Moving the dots around and seeing how to get the
So
cookies in there. I'm sure there's a
hmm,
skill to it, and I would not call them casuals. They're probably experts.
no, I would call them being good at being casual. That's it.
Okay. So then what does it take? So then what does it take to be considered not a casual in your very restrictive definition?
Simple. If you like games, if you like gaming, and then you
Okay, well,
start.
liking gaming, that's out. So it's not liking gaming because these people like
Yeah,
games.
so like,
What
if
else?
they do, the next step is to play actual, you know, games that have been developed by good gaming companies that includes
So you basically now we need to have a criteria upon the gaming companies, and
no.
only their games
Okay,
could be considered
let
like
me
worthy of actual
let me
commitment and
change that.
skill.
Gaming companies doesn't mean anything because there are lots of indie games that have same qualifications to be called a game, or like a PC game or a computer game or a console game. Like first things first. If you're playing a game riddled with microtransactions and you're buying your way out, if you're just buying levels, if you're buying power to finish the
Well,
game,
that's not what we're talking about. Don't throw that in here.
so if you are playing games that do not include
So
those, that means yes, you are starting to become a gamer. You are
uh,
just starting to enjoy actual games, actual video
actual
games.
so actual games again. I think we'll need to work on our definition of that
Okay,
as we
like
go through. But why don't you wrap up your history and your soliloquy by telling
that's it.
us
Like that.
some actual games that you enjoy playing.
Right
Like
now, for example, these days,
are you a casual like or
I'm a competitive gamer. I enjoy playing games that
give us some
my
specific titles if
opponents
you don't
are
mind.
real people, like such
Give
as
us
MOBA, such as like MOBA games.
that's not a title of a game, that's a type.
Yes, MOBA games such as Dota 2 especially, and RTS games such as StarCraft 2, Warcraft,
Why
and
don't you take a moment and define some terms for our audience who might be casuals out there or might not be such super video game nerds as yourself.
all
So
right.
what's a
So
MOBA? What's a MOBA? What's an RTS?
MOBA is multiplayer online battle arena. So it means that people fight with each other on an online digital arena. That's actually the simplest way I can put it. And RTS is real time strategy, so where you
So
can,
give some examples.
like StarCraft and Warcraft are prime examples.
Command and Conquer. Did you ever play
Command
that
and
game?
Conquer, you have Red Alerts,
That
Tiberian
was a
Sun.
classic. That was classic.
Um, what else? Like Warhammer. There
Hmm.
was like I believe Lord of the Rings had an RTS which I enjoyed playing, and there are many others that I don't remember their names right now, but there are many. And
So you
also
like so you
FPS,
okay? Yeah. Go
like
ahead.
finally, like first person shooters, like competitive games that I truly enjoy playing. Other than that, my second category would be Souls like games, which are, the term means there's like a game called Dark Souls, and then after that game has become a huge hit, there have been many other games similar to Dark Souls, so we call them Souls like, which are, hard, punishing games.
What is this type of game?
Hard and punishing games. Usually, it is challenging, difficult to progress, but um, once you do progress, you feel a great sense of accomplishment.
Hmm. So you like very difficult games. So
I
to
do,
sum
I
up,
do.
you like Souls like games and you like real time strategy multiplayer online multiplayer games
Hmm.
where you're competing directly against other humans.
Yes, I like to show my dominance in everything I do, and gaming is one of them. I have to assert my dominance in everything I do.
And there were the many times I invited you to play in a MOBA with me on the mobile back when I played it. Serkan always politely, you know, he
Blind.
declined. Yeah, I think that's not a reflection of your ability at all. I think it's just a
I
reflection
I
of.
hate it. Like, I hate playing MOBA on a phone. I need my mouse. I need my keyboard. I hate it. I hate playing those games
Actually,
on
that
mobile.
game now is also available on PC.
I would play Dota 2 instead of that. I would play a superior game instead of playing a trash mobile game. No. I
Oh,
value my time maybe more than you do.
so you you mean your time spent video gaming? You probably do. So how about I tell you about my history? Would you
All
like
right,
to hear that,
go
Serkan?
ahead.
So I think that my enjoyment of games in general, I think extends way beyond just video games itself. I think I'm attracted to almost any form of game that involves like a competition or especially strategy. So like for example, cards, board
Mhm.
games, like those always caught my interest, and I'm very interested to learn any new type of game which I come across. So for example, when I lived in Korea, I learned what we call Go, or I think in Korea they call it Jungi,
What's
and
that?
that's the classic Chinese board game with the square, and you have white and black stones, and you basically fill up the board and you attempt to surround the opponent or encircle them.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I'll show you later. You should look it up. And then there's Koreans have another version of that, like similar to Connect Four, but they call it Omok. which is 5 stones in a row, so you use it differently. And then, of course, interested in chess. So there's a Chinese chess, and also there's like a Chinese chess, but there's a Korean version of it. And so, anyways, I became very interested to play any game I could get my hands on. And so I think that I'm good at it. Actually, I have a sense of strategy and tactics when it comes to games. Serkan, like we said, has been too scared to find out firsthand.
Hard to
But
believe, but I will take your word for it.
well, I'm not taking your word that you're that good. But
I didn't say I was good. I never. I just said I assert my dominance. I don't have to be a good,
don't you
skilled
need to be
player to
good to be
assert my
dominant?
dominance.
Don't you need to have a certain level of ability to be dominant?
Yes, but doesn't mean I have to be good at everything or all games. I just need to find out a way to assert my dominance to others, which are also people.
Mm, okay. All right. Well, that's a very slippery definition you're presenting for us. But so when I was, I guess, in elementary school, my parents did get for us the authentic, real Nintendo, the original system, and we had all those classic experiences that I can fondly remember with kind of blowing into to the diskette,
Hmm.
trying to get the dust out because the gaming system was not very reliable. So I had a lot of treasured memories playing games on that. And then I think that I moved on to Super Nintendo, got a PlayStation, and then I tailed off. And then so for many years up until recently, I never owned any console, but I would play games on mobile sometimes. And I was also interested in um, games on the computer, except for the fact that I've been using like a laptop, a Mac laptop, which is not a very high performance gaming computer for the past decade plus. So I've kind of been out of the gaming industry until I recently moved back to the United States. And as I was moving back and now in the US time zone, two of my friends who have been play Xbox,
Hmm.
they recommended that I get a game system so that I could play with them.
Good for them. Good
So
friends.
I mean, so since we're all spread out, one lives in Hawaii, one lives in Chicago, and I'm in Connecticut, this would be a way for us to kind of maintain our relationship, have a good time playing games together, etc., because we have a long history of
Hmm.
that. And it turns out that the only game that they're interested in playing is PUBG.
Oh, I know. I know
Are
what
you
that
familiar
is.
with this game?
Yeah, it's a shooter. It's a battle royale shooter.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so it's basically like the adult, maybe super nerd gamer like yourself version of Fortnite, a very famous and popular like mobile and just
Yes,
platform game.
everyone knows Fortnite. Come on, everyone knows
Yeah,
Fortnite.
for well, we'll talk about Fortnite more later on, but basically this is like the advanced technical version. And the people we're playing with, that you basically have to learn like the name of 50 different guns, 50 different ammunition types. You need
Hmm.
to like, anyways, the I think the worst part about the game is the learning curve is extremely high. And so most of the game you just spend walking around and trying to gather ammo and supplies, and then suddenly you run into some people, you try and shoot them, but because it's this like battle arena, there's people coming at you from every direction, and you die, and then you spend like the next 80% of the next time trying to find more weapons and more backpacks,
Yeah.
and it's just not that fun. It was just not that fun for me.
Well, that's a
So
Twitch shooter. Like we call those games Twitch shooters. It's like you have
Twitch
to
shooter
Twitch,
or what?
Twitch, T
What's a
W I
Twitch?
T C H,
Twitch.
Twitch,
Twitch.
Twitch shooters. It
What
like
does that mean? You need to have
meaning
a
that you
twitchy
have
reaction
to,
time?
yes, react incredibly fast, and then because that's what those kind of games require. Like you see someone like in the corner, you have to immediately aim and shoot and kill them first, or they will do it for you. But those are the games I used to enjoy, but nowadays I avoid. It's just too stressful.
I can't really say what it is. Maybe that I just find it boring and uninteresting. Like I mean, of course, there's the element of skill. I'm not denying that, and I certainly don't have the skill, and I also don't really have the desire to get to that skill level to invest the time necessarily. But most of the game is honestly just kind of moving around, looking around, and gathering up. Trying to improve your weapons as you go, and then eventually you get into some kind of firefight. But
Yeah.
So that's really unfortunate. So then what I ended up doing was investing in some other games and seeing what the best games for this platform were, because I haven't had a game system since I was like a teenager or younger.
Hmm.
And so the game that I enjoyed playing the most since I moved back here was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, that game is amazing. I didn't have the
So have
chance
you
to
played
play
it?
it yet, but I know from certain video clips that I watched, let's plays and also reviews and
Yeah, I
friends.
mean, so what I realized is that what I like is kind of open world style
Hmm.
games, and I guess I'm into single player because then I can just enjoy it on my terms as much as I want. I don't really need to wait for my friends. Like I don't have to just play the game with some unknown strangers. I can
Hmm.
just enjoy the story.
Hmm.
And so, but yeah, that's probably the most gorgeous game I've ever played. The environment, like the world, is just full of like these random and bizarre, like humorous encounters. There's like treasures and Easter eggs all over the place. There's different ecosystems, weapons, etc. And so I probably spent like, I don't know, more than 50 hours just kind of wandering around, exploring the world, not even pursuing the main quest. So that was a really a pleasurable experience for me. And so, but these days, I'm not even really using my game system because even though my friends are there playing it, they're not inviting me anymore because I don't want to play.
Well, that sucks. Not for them, but
Yeah,
for
I
you.
mean,
But
I don't think so.
all right. Well, you just said you're not really a good player in PUBG, so I don't think they are missing you in terms of your distribution,
They're
your
missing my
contribution to the
companion.
team.
They're missing my companionship. I'm missing theirs. I wish they would play a different game, but I guess they're really addicted into this one. So
Yeah, it's a
what
highly addictive game.
what
That's
can you
true.
do? What can you do? But any final thoughts before we jump into some culture exploration?
I would say that you're on the right path. Continue discovering those kind of games more, and then one day you can get the title of normal gamer or just gamer instead of being a casual.
Well, we have different goals in life, Serkan. I'm glad you've accomplished yours.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
so what I think I want to talk about now is about um, some cultural components
Mm.
to like video game culture, video gaming, like what effect the culture has on the way video games are played, and then maybe vice versa, what effect gaming has on society then as a whole. Do you want to lead off with any thoughts?
I would say I want to stay away from one piece of, one aspect or one element, which is, I hate this, but media and also certain politicians use this fact all the time, or not even a fact, use this nonsensical idea of video game violence somehow directly connected to real world violence, which has no scientific proof, which has no study or research proving that, but it still constantly suggests that people playing violent games act violently in real world or do violent things, which is irrelevant, or like which is unproven. So that's the only
Okay,
part
well,
that I don't want to
we
get into detail.
okay, that's fine. We can try and stay on friendly terms, but I would say that firstly, I haven't done the research, so I couldn't. I'm not sure if what you're saying like is proven. It's That's your claim.
No, I'm
Um,
saying like there is no study
I would have
that
to look
proves
into that,
that.
let's try not to
Yeah.
jump into it. But I do believe that there could be a potentially negative effect from like the desensitizing people from like through violence, and I think especially in the United States where we are a gun friendly culture.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that there could be some linkages.
But then
So,
so does
anyways,
everything. So does movies. So does TV shows.
yeah,
So does
but in
everything you
movies, you're
see.
not really doing any of the things yourself. You're not really walking around with a gun and then blasting people.
Same thing. You're not doing that
It's
yourself in
even
the
no. It's
video
like,
game. The character is doing
what are we
that. That's
talking about?
not
That's
you.
absolutely 100% what you're doing.
No,
You
it's
know,
the
like all these
character
games, you're
that you
walking
are
around and you're
controlling.
shooting people. What?
It's the character that you are controlling doing
Okay,
those
and how
things,
about a
not you.
first-person shooter? Like, what could be more? What could be like more like a first-person perspective than that?
This is
Like,
like
like,
that.
like,
That's
I think
another
you're, I think
point. It's a
you're
game. There is no
denying the
other
act.
way to do it. Like in a video game, there is no other way to play rather than controlling the video game. You cannot watch a video game. You have to
Controlling the
play it.
character in the video game
Yes, you
or the
have
game
to.
itself.
Like you have to
Okay.
control the character.
Yeah, exactly. And then in these games where there is violence, you have to kill people. It's part of the game. You can't play the game without killing
I
people
can
or
make the
trying to
same
kill people.
argument that watching a movie has the same effect because you are
Why?
literally
Like, there's
watching
no
it.
ownership. There's no ownership in a movie. You're like a passenger. Like, but the thing is, when you are in a game where you're controlling like and actively making decisions, where you're trying to like shoot another person in the game, kill another person in the game, you're a participant. You're actively involved. Like, you're telling me
So,
that someone who is
okay,
actively involved in a conversation has the same experience as someone who's like a listener.
no, that's true. They wouldn't. I
Like
understand
I
what you're
don't know
trying
I
to
don't know
say.
how
Ownership
I don't know how you
versus.
could possibly think that. But anyways, we said we're not going to talk about that. So if you want to listen more, then you can check out our other podcast, which is Video Game Violence in Society Today. Uh, we're going to be recording that on our other station potentially. But I want to the thing that's interesting to me, and maybe you can shed some light on Turkish video game culture. Like you now, maybe you can explain
That's
about
not even Turkish accent.
The
That's
Turkish
more like a
muscle,
Russian
like
accent.
how that develops. That's Turkish to me.
That's like a
Like
Russian
I
accent.
think that like the way that society functions has a big influence on what games are played, how people play games, how they operate. So for example, my two frames of reference are American culture and Korean culture. And it seems to me that in the United States, in general, people, gamers, they have more funds. Okay, they have more time on their hands, and they also have like more space at their disposal. For example, more people, more 20s, 30s, and so forth. Even unmarried people are living independent of their parents in apartments or houses, and whereas in Korea, most people are living at home with their parents until they're married, usually. Um, so what this does is it creates this basically more, I would say, console gaming, or more people are in their individual homes playing games on their device with their really nice TV or really nice computer. Whereas in South Korea, you don't really have the same kind of space. You don't necessarily want to just be sitting at home with your parents. And there's also the social component where I think this drives kind of friends to go enjoy playing games at the same time simultaneously in the exact same location, which is the very famous PC bangs
Yeah,
in South
internet
Korea.
cafes. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Korea PC bangs. So, have you ever been to a PC bang in South Korea?
Once to just check it out, to just see it, but it was a bit different than the internet cafes we had in Turkey. So I was a bit surprised, but not so much because I was also expecting those kind of differences that I saw.
Care to elaborate on the
Like for
differences?
example, I think one PC bank had a showering part that you could shower. Like literally, you can sleep there. I think
I
Japan
think you
has
might have been in. That
also
might
a
have been a
same.
hotel you were in. Actually,
Huh?
that might have been a hotel you were in.
No, literally not. Like I heard that there are like many PC bungs or internet cafes like that you can actually go, and then there are lots like and stay there, and there are lots of facilities you can use at the internet cafe, such as kitchen and such as taking a
you
shower.
probably you probably noticed that element, that difference first because you hadn't showered in days, and you were excited by the opportunity to shower while there.
Well, if I was a nasty American like you, but I would. But as a Turkish person who invented being clean in the world with Turkish. Yes,
You
we
invented being
invent. Do you
clean.
want to hear a story about it? I can literally tell you a
If
story from history that
Is it a long
explains
story?
how Turkish people invented being clean.
Is it a
Literally,
long story?
the short one. It is the history
Okay.
of Turkish baths.
Oh, okay.
During that time,
I would hate to deny our audience. Go ahead.
during that time, for example, when Turkish
During what
people
time?
enjoying
Sorry,
their
what time?
baths and being
What time?
clean. Yeah, what? Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
During I missed the part. You said during that time. What time are we
During the
talking?
time, during the time when Turkish people invented Turkish baths and enjoying being clean, in
So
the
unknown,
West,
unspecified. Okay, continue.
uh, like middle age, like middle age, literally middle age. During that time, Western people were busy trying to invent something called perfume to avoid showers. That that's how perfume was invented, to avoid taking showers. So
Mm,
compare those two things. So that's why, please, as a dirty
that's your
Westerner,
story? Yeah, that's like the least factually based.
no,
I've
I
never
just
heard like
tried to
it
prove
sounded
my
like you could just
point.
easily be making that up. So
Look it up.
like
Look it up. Like if you don't believe me, don't take my word for it. Look up how perfume was invented, why it was
wait,
invented.
how it was
Not
invented is
how.
a
Sorry,
totally
not
separate
how.
case.
How is
Maybe
chemical?
like how
Yeah.
about like maybe access to clean water? Like maybe the people were like living in a very urban situation and there was very limited access, and so some members of society like wanted to smell good. Like I don't think that's necessarily to avoid. It's not necessarily to avoid taking a shower, but more like I don't have the possibility to shower. I need to over solve this problem some other way. How about that? So maybe it
That's
just speaks
how
to
you
like
interpret it. That's how I
the
interpret
availability
it.
of water.
That's how you
Anyway,
interpret it. How I
okay.
interpret is people were avoiding taking baths.
All right. You know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start writing down your claims, and then I'm going to rebut
Fact
them
check. Okay,
for you
just fact
in
check.
the next episode. So
I'm
fact check
90%
one,
sure.
fact check. No,
No,
that's
about the
very
reason.
extreme confidence.
I'm
Fact
90%
check.
sure about the reason that
Fact checking Serkan's bullshit. Okay, the Turkish people invented being clean
yes,
in the
fact
Middle Ages.
yes.
Being clean in the Middle
I
Ages.
like
Okay.
I stand by that claim.
Just because you guys are famous for bathhouses, that
No,
doesn't mean that you
because
you invented that shit.
not because of that, because during that time, Westerners especially were struggling uh, in terms of being hygiene, or like in terms of being clean, or keeping their hygiene. I know that how to put it that way. That's something that I'm very 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 certain of. That's why like you can go ahead and fact
Yeah, it's
check it.
like a
Fact checked.
proper cultural propaganda that you've learned since you were in school.
No, it's not a
Uh,
propaganda,
I
bro.
mean, like
Just check it.
honestly, there's not much for Turkish people to be that proud of, except we invented being clean.
It's a good
You
thing to be
know,
proud of. It's a
we
good
lo-
thing to be proud of. We were the
I
first
mean, you
clean
invented it,
culture.
like you invented it, but then why did you guys stop doing it? That's the
We
real
didn't.
question.
We
Like,
didn't stop. We
okay,
haven't
but
stopped.
anyways, so wait, so you're saying that it was because watch me bring it back here. Because you
Hmm.
have just such like a strong connection with the idea of cleanliness and bathing, that this was the first detail you noticed in the PC bong.
No,
That's why, because
no.
of like this kind of cultural base point.
Like I know you want to connect it,
I'm
which
trying to
may
bring it back to
somehow.
our real topic.
But the reason I noticed it because it was unusual. Like you don't expect a shower.
Maybe that says something
In a,
more about their society. The Korean society has surpassed Turkish society, that you can now even bathe in a computer room. Like their level of cleanliness and hygiene far exceeds yours.
okay, maybe I don't know.
So
Ask
you didn't reach
Koreans.
that
I don't
conclusion, I'll
know.
bet.
You should ask Koreans for that. The main reason I assume they have a shower because they allow people to sleep there, stay there.
Okay. What else? So for those people who've never been into a Korean internet cafe called PC Bang, what are
They,
some
they,
of
they
the other
had
defining characteristics
couple rooms. They have a couple
in PC
seats.
Bangs?
Yeah, like you could.
I've not. Okay, you mean like a couple chair?
Yeah, like a. Normally, what you expect is one chair and one PC, and usually the PCs are divided. There's like something that separates them, and even though that person is your friend, it's a separated area, like maybe 10 centimeters or something like that. But this couple area, the couple session rooms were like a big sofa and then two computers next to each other that you can play most probably, I am assuming, with your girlfriend or maybe with a close friend sitting next
Right.
to each other.
Because again, the being outside and being doing social activities, including dating outside of the home, outside of the residence, is like very prevalent compared to like the United States, which has a higher degree of like private spaces being used.
So that was the other thing that, was very, very
And
interesting for me.
also, one feature that I would say is like very advanced game or computers. Like if you don't have kind of top of the line tech, then I think no one will really go to your PC bang.
Yeah,
And so they have like really nice computers, nice keyboards, mouses, comfortable chairs, large monitors, and so forth. I
that's part of the
definitely have
deal.
had
Yeah.
the. Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, go ahead.
And this one is real, not just a fantasy that I learned when I was a child. Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
so so one of my most memorable experiences in a PC bang came like my first year in Korea. And my friends and I went with two friends, also English teachers, and we decided to play some StarCraft against each other. So it was like four of us, and we were just playing some game. And we just played 2v2, and we were playing StarCraft One, the original classic, which Korean gamers have perfected or mastered these
Mastered,
kind of real-time
mastered.
strategy games like in a way which, if you're not familiar to this, like is truly mind-boggling. So since we were there, we decided like we should try to play against some Koreans. And so we all created like a quick BattleNet account, which was very easy back in those days. And we went into like a Korean server. And so we basically joined a 4v4, and then we just kind of used a very limited Korean to try to pretend like we were Koreans starting this game. And, anyways, let me tell you, I have never seen anything like this before in my life. Like by the time maybe I had like my first barracks or second barracks and started had like four or five guys, there was just this absolute flood of
They'll probably six pull you.
soldiers,
Yeah.
and then like probes. We're talking about probes. They were just sending everything into my base, and honestly, it was more like watching like a conductor of a symphony orchestra. Like trumpets here, crescendos here, and so like honestly, I just sat back and I just like was laughing hysterically just watching like the absolute destruction that they were bringing down in such a quick and short limited time. And like I mean it was just unbelievable, the kind of like the hotkeys that they use, and like the who knows how they do it. But that was I will never forget that moment, and I bow down to the Korean mastery of StarCraft and probably other games.
Yeah, that's still true. They are still the predominant, let's say, nation that is good at StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1 and the global league and everything. They are still at the top.
So why do you think the Koreans are such dominant gamers? Even someone who's so dominant as you has to kind of look up and admire them,
Koreans are
right?
not dominant gamers. They are dominant and StarCraft 2 and StarCraft, and that's about it.
What about League of Legends, Overwatch?
They are not
Like no, like,
dominant. They
no.
have star teams and star players, but they are not dominant. Like I
Okay,
wouldn't call
I'm
them
gonna look this up.
dominant. For example, in League, League of Legends, yes, they have Faker and they have also SK, sorry S1, and they have their star team and star players. But
Okay, so
other teams
in
from
the
other
top 10,
nations are
League of
competing with them.
Legends, top 10 League of Legends rankings. Korea 1, China, Germany, Korea, USA, China, Korea, Korea.
So I
So
would
that's
say
four out of the top 10.
current ranking, right? Okay,
Mhm.
they are doing well. But the reason I'm saying dominant is, if you compare that to StarCraft, it is the list, like, especially the top 100 players, because it's like one on one only. Top 100 players will consist of mainly, like overlay, like maybe 40% of Koreans, and the top earnings will be from Korean players. And also the skill gap is huge. Like when a Korean person plays against a non-Korean, they usually beat them in let's say dominantly, or like the difference in skills gap is huge. But I don't see that. Maybe because I'm not very familiar with the teams and the players in league. But for some reason, I couldn't associate being good at games overall as a Korean. Because in other games, for example, in Dota, they suck. They are not good. They are bad. In other play like
Maybe just
FPS, they are
because
not good
maybe
FPS.
because the people don't maybe because people don't they don't Koreans don't play it.
They do. They tried to join many, uh, leagues and also tourneys, but they failed miserably. Only once they were successful, but then they couldn't repeat the same success. And also other games
It
as
looks
well,
like
like
Dota is much more of a European game. Like
Dota. I
I'm
would say
seeing
much
here,
more like a Chinese game.
Sweden, no, Sweden, the top players: Sweden, Denmark, Australia,
So Dota
France,
1 and Dota 2
Germany,
are different
Egyptian.
games. So if
I'm looking at Dota 2.
so Dota 2 is right now currently European dominated game because there are
Because Europeans
few.
like it because they like it. They play it.
Yeah, obviously, like no one would play a game
What?
that they don't like.
Thank you. That supports my case. But the thing is, like I think League of Legends and Dota are pretty much the same thing, aren't they?
Same genre, but yeah, different mechanics. Like similar
Okay.
mechanics and also different
Okay.
mechanics.
So then, like they have theirs, like you have yours. Like I think
League is an American game.
that explains what it is. I think if there was only one, if there was only a Dota or only a League of Legends, I'm going to put my money on the Koreans. I'll say that.
I wouldn't. Like besides, again, two games, Koreans were not able to show the same rate of success in other video games such as FPS, like Counter Strike. What else? Hearthstone. What else? Competitive card game. Yeah. So that's the thing.
Okay. All right. So bring it. Try and bring it back. Try to draw some cultural connections for us here, because this is a culture podcast.
So one thing I know that 1998 is an important year for South Korea. That is the year where like internet cafes, PC bungs were also getting incredibly popular, and that's why StarCraft was an immediate success, and people were incredibly obsessed about it because that was the game, that was it. And then people started, spending time on StarCraft. And after a while, like if you also consider the South Korean culture, that people live with their parents, so they want to get out, they want to play with their friends, socialize. StarCraft also uh, was a good game to socialize with others because it was multiplayer. And then people started to mastering the game, and that's how like StarCraft then turned into one of the biggest and the first online esports in the world. So I would say culture really affects how video gaming develops. Like that didn't happen in the West. Like people weren't that into StarCraft because games were maybe more accessible than the East.
I think it's because like console games are more widespread in the U.S.
I would say for Turkey it's a mix. For Turkey PC gaming, like for Europe maybe especially, it's a mix. Like people like 50-50. Like people play console and PC games at the same amount. But if you think about it, it should be the opposite in the East because of Japan, because of Nintendo, because of PlayStation. But
Well,
it
the
didn't
Japanese
happen in
play
Korea.
pachinko.
What?
So the Japanese play pachinko.
Yeah, pachinko is gambling though. Pachinko machines are gambling machines. Uh, anyways, like so you would expect same thing to happen in Asia, in Korea. Being that you would expect them to be console gamers, but that's not the case. They instead become PC gamers because I believe one of the reasons were because of the economy and also the relationships with Japan. So they didn't want to maybe use Japanese products, maybe, or they didn't have the money to buy neither a PC nor a console. The PC bangs were the only option for them. And during
Yeah, I
that
mean, I think
time,
that like that's what a PC bang is good for, is that they own the games, they provide the games, they provide the computers, they provide the
they
everything.
also provide
Like
consoles too. That's what we are
they
forgetting
provide.
about.
Yeah, but I think it's like that's less popular.
Yes,
But
so again,
anyways, like it's perfect for the student who is getting his allowance. In
mhm,
Korea, they would say pocket money,
yeah.
and you take those $5-6, and you get to play, 3-4 hours of games with your friends after studying, something like that. Like in the U.S., you just go to someone's house and you take turns playing their console game. That's how it works. But like, I think that as far as like gaming and cultural phenomenon, I think that Fortnite has really like been like a seminal game in the United States, because like not only of like the mass popularity and kind of addictiveness of the game, because it's again one of those, um what do they call it, like a battle royale,
Hmm.
third person shooter battle royale slash sandbox. So have you ever played Fortnite?
I did, but I didn't enjoy it that much. It was too cartoony for my taste. Like
You'd
visuals is
like
also
but
important.
well, so
The
but I
art
think one
style.
fun element of that game is the, like the sandbox element, where you can kind of destroy your environment, and then you can kind of
Build.
build as like a method of like strategy. But this there's been like a lot of integration of pop cultural elements, like Star Wars, when it was releasing the most recent film, they had like a huge event within Fortnite, and they were promoting the movie's release by having some
Hmm.
special weapons and skins and those kinds of stuff. And then also like sometimes some hip hop artists are also incorporated in there. They use pop culture dances that are like
Yeah.
popularized by athletes or celebrities, or maybe from some old TV shows. And so they're kind of like integrating these elements all together. So it's not just a shooting game like a PUBG or something.
It's more influential. Like it is definitely more influential than PUBG or other shooters. Correct. But
Yeah.
it happens
So
because many people are playing it. I think. Hmm. I'm not sure. I think the reason it happens because the game is so popular. Like, would the same thing happen if the game was, only played by a few? It was a niche game. Would the same thing happen? I'm not so
of
sure.
course not, but I think it reflects the demographic, right? Like Star Wars is like a massive conglomerate unto itself, and so they're really targeting exactly who they want, which is the youth culture.
Yeah,
And so like they know who plays the game. I'm sure
they
they have
they they did the same thing
the
with
data.
Avengers as well, with Thanos or Thanos. I don't know.
Thanos.
Thanos, that guy. They did the same thing.
But I think that like Korean gaming culture like also reflects like the kind of competitiveness. Like I think that's maybe why they're so involved. So maybe they like really became like early leaders in the whole esport genre.
I
But
agree.
they're also like because they're so competitively driven academically, even from a young age. Like it really instills this idea of that, and yeah. So,
I believe
all
that's
right.
true.
So let's move on to one of our final topics here, which is, I guess, esports. So I don't know shit about esports. So really, you're the expert here. So maybe this is where you get all your internet terminology, which I'm not
Well,
familiar with, like cucking and so forth. So give us what's your
that's
experience
not
with it?
esports
Why do you watch it?
terminology.
What do you want?
That's like online streaming or
I thought you saw
gaming
that from on.
terminology. It's like
What's
esport
okay? So
means
then,
something
what's
else.
the difference between watching some other person play the game and esports? Just it's not competitive. Like, how are you watching people play
Yes.
games? Like,
Yes.
so you're just watching people play games just for fun, but it's not competitive.
So, for
Like,
example,
where's the line between esports and you're just watching some people?
first of all, for something to be considered esports, it has to be competitive, right? That's the first case. You
Yeah,
need to
but
be
okay,
able
but for
to.
example, when I play PUBG, I'm competing against the other
Hmm,
players to win. That's competitive.
yes. Now, to turn that game into, or to create an esports format, you need to create set of rules like a league, and then a combination of other stuff such as referees, points. Like you need to do something with that to turn that into esports. By alone, the game is not esports. Like for example, Dota 2. Dota 2 is a more like league. It's a MOBA, it's a competitive game, but when we call esports, we mean teams that are playing the game in a league in a certain format. So something is deliberately done to turn that game into an esports. So that's the line. Like for example, you are eating something and you want to watch someone play video games. It's like watching someone like I don't know who. So Koch Carnage is one of my favorite streamers. He usually
Who?
plays Koch Carnage. His nickname is Cohh Koh Carnage
And why is he your favorite?
because he is a middle-aged man like me. Like I think he was like 33 or 34. He is a
Let me
father.
guess. He likes to flame and
Yeah,
try
like
to
he's
assert
a
his
very chill
dominance.
person. He makes dad jokes and
Wh-
stuff like that. He
Is
has
where is he?
probably
So is he Turkish?
yeah, he's American. And he is yeah, he has the same sense of humor or like a close sense of humor as I do. So I
Oh
enjoy
God, that
watching him
scares me.
play and then
I was
interacting
hoping
with
only
chat.
you would. I was hoping you'd be the only one with this kind of sense of humor.
No, I'm not the only one. There are lots of like me in the world. So that's watching someone play games
Is
and
he?
interact
Is he?
with you.
Is he good? Is he good?
He is, I would say, a good gamer. He usually plays games on hard, but he doesn't try hard. He doesn't, you know, try his best to beat the games. If he can't do it, he tries a few more times, either and finds, asks the chat for tips or hints if he is stuck, stuff like that.
And so he has subscribers. How does this work? Because I have 1,000 questions now.
Okay, I
So
will
so how do you
in
even stumble
another
across
in
this person in the first place? No, this is our only gaming podcast. So
okay, so how do you come across? There is an online
like he's
streaming
not.
platform called Twitch,
Hmm.
twitch.tv. And if you go there, you can see lots of people streaming and then interacting with the viewers. And then
Hmm.
you can find people like him on that
So you just
platform.
watch. So you watch different people who are playing live, and then
Exactly.
you just kind of see which. So it's really not about. You're just enjoying the way that they play the game and their reactions to it.
And then you have the chance to interact with them. Like say
So are you
something,
friends with what's his name? Cock what?
Carnage or Co Carnage. Sorry, not Co Carnage. Cohh. I'm not friends with him. No, I am
Have
his like
you
a follower, a viewer. I follow his content. That's it. I
so
do
that's your
have
relationship status follower.
yeah, follower. I do have
Okay.
friends who also stream, and then I also sometimes join them, and then stuff like that.
Now
But
what
yeah,
what happens if you want to watch Co Carnage, but he's not playing?
I watch someone else.
Well, what about just watching a recording of his on YouTube if he's a big streamer?
Sometimes I don't know, like like it's like TV. It's like watching TV while eating dinner. Like you're okay with whatever you are watching, but you do not go out of your way to find the previous episode of whatever you are watching. You don't care that much. It's like TV. It's like I would say I would call Twitch the new TV or the TV of the new
It's
generation.
gamer TV. Gamer TV.
Yeah, gamer TV maybe. But I don't want to call it gamer TV because then some people might think there's a channel called gamer TV on TV that they can watch. No.
It's TV for gamers.
Yeah, something
Like
like that.
the TV channel. Gamer channel.
Again, like there's a
So
reason
so
why I'm
okay
trying to
so it's so
avoid
okay
that.
so to back it up, so you have not learned your internet terminology such as cuck and all these other ones and flaming. You've not learned that through esports. That's a whole separate thing. You've just learned it through Your
Streamers.
gamer, the gamer channel, the
Yeah,
game streaming.
streamers. So these channels and this platform creates a community around it. All the gamers are there. Esports are, you know, covered and then run on Twitch TV. So it creates a society, and that
Do you
society also
also
creates its own language and interpretations of words. It happens, like, such as kill steal, KS, kill steal. That's a term that is invented by gamers to say that when you are trying to kill someone and that person has low HP, low hit points, and someone comes in and then uh, kills the person and steals your score. We call it kill steal. These kind of terminologies or language comes from this society. And for the one that I told you, to cuck someone or to be cucked, if you think about it, the sexual interpretation is a guy who enjoys his partner be in a sexual relationship with another person while he is watching or maybe even joining them. That's, cuckolding, for example. But in this uh, society, it also has the meaning of someone coming in and then stealing your goal, your objective from you. It might be a kill, it might be a score, it might be a goal, and people refer to that incident as to get cocked or to cock someone. So let's give an example on it.
No, we're good. I'm good. We don't.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm good
So
with
these
cooking.
kind of
So
terminologies, even existing ones or newly invented ones, comes from the society. People have the power to give words meaning or detach the meanings from them as they please. The most maybe amazing, wonderful part of language, aspect of language. Like something might have had a different meaning 100 years ago, but maybe it has a total different meaning now, depending on how people use it.
so if you're into linguistics and kind of etymology, then you should become a follower of some good video game streamers because this is a very rich and fertile ground for this language evolution.
I would say not
Well,
just gaming, but any new
that's where your
society.
primary interest comes as a linguist, right?
I would say that's a good advice, but not just gaming, but any new society, any new rising society will provide examples like this.
So you're not in it because of the gaming, but it's the new society elements.
No, I like gaming. Like that's why I like watching it. No, purely because of
Uh,
gaming.
Okay, so we're gonna do. Let me bring up one more topic here, and then We'll try to. Let's see. We'll save game and then continue next time. Or trying to think
Well,
of
you want to be explain
the right gaming
esports, but you didn't
analogy.
give me the opportunity
Like
to
to what?
talk about esports. I
Oh,
just explained Twitch for you because you were so curious and asked
but
me.
I think we get I think we get the idea. I'm actually more interested in like your personal thing. I think I understand the concept of esports. You compete video game competition. I understand what sports are. So the last question, which I want to bring up, is about video gaming and child raising children. Your parents allowing their kids to play. Of course, this is like a huge thing, huge difference between our us and our generation, and then like the generation which is growing up these days, digital natives, right? Where
Yeah,
when we grew up, we probably didn't even have internet, like didn't exist on a wide basis
yeah,
until like we were probably teenagers, or maybe you were older or younger. I guess you were younger,
younger.
or but probably you had a lot of time before like internet or even like mobile phones was um like smartphones anyways were like such a serious and ubiquitous item. But like when it comes to kids, like phone use is one thing, but how about like video games themselves? Because I think on the pro side, right? Like as I understand about parenting vicariously, not I don't have any children, but it's very parenting is certainly exhausting, and children are constantly needing or wanting their parents' attention, basically 100% of the time. And so video games really, I think, would be one of the best escapes, introducing maybe, of course, not too young, but maybe 6 7 year old to a video game would really allow the parent to unwind, take a rest, relax a little bit, do something else productive with their time, kind of without having to necessarily monitor their
Mm.
children. What do you think?
Well, like I would say, video games have its advantages when it comes to not just parenting, but childhood growth, or like children growth, child growth. For example, like language development. Like I think I was able to understand and speak English at such a young age was because of my interest in computer games and computers as a whole. Because it was impossible for me to, for example, start a game if I didn't know what start meant. There was no localization back then. There was no Turkish games back then, so it was all English. So it allowed me to learn and improve my English just by playing video games. And also, uh, like there are certain video games specifically developed for helping children learn something, like interactive video games based on maths, language, or social sciences. You can
Problem
easily,
solving.
sorry, what?
Problem solving.
Yeah, problem solving and lots of other things like puzzles and such. So, as a responsible parent, you can easily find those games and then allow your child, play those games when they are growing up. Besides, mainstream media, I would say as a parent, the main responsibility is to find which games should be played by your child. Like I would especially steer away from the games who take advantage of micro. I forgot the name. Micro something. Micro payments. No,
Microtransactions.
microtransactions, and also just
Are you talking about the games? Well, actually, I don't know what the right term for this game is. Maybe but there's a kind of game where it's like you have like a timer set
uh-huh.
for so say you're like building a farm or something, then like your tomatoes you can harvest them in like 30 seconds,
Yeah,
and then
time
your
gating.
corn.
So we call it time gating. So they
I think
literally.
like yeah, I think that like I mean I've, as I told you, interested in any kind of game, and so I have tried those games, and like it really does have this just like horribly addictive effect where you're honestly constantly trying, like even timing yourself, setting a timer or some notifications so that you can harvest your like totally imaginary crops
Farm. Yeah.
in some given time. And there's a million games like this. Time gating, is that what it's called?
So that's like a simulation game. But the tactic they use is time gating. So they
I think that is like the single most like negative and dangerous element of any gaming that I've ever experienced.
and then what they do is they say, okay, if you don't want to wait, pay 100
Hmm.
gems. And they don't say $1 specifically, because that's also a marketing ploy. They say 100 gems, and then you want to
I
buy
mean,
100
you want the
gems.
gems, it's going to
It's like
cost
75
some.
cents.
It's
But
going to
you
cost
cannot buy
some.
100 gems. You can only buy 1,000, which is like this. So this whole thing becomes an incredibly difficult to solve math problem, especially for children who doesn't even care about them. Like
No,
who,
it's not the math problem. That's not the problem. The
yeah.
problem is the fact that you are constantly trying to like kind of return to the game. So it's like it affects the focus,
Like
right?
there are
And
like,
like
yes, multiple levels.
like
The effect on
I think like
focus.
the most damaging aspect is like the kind of the dopamine hit you get from like opening the game, collecting your crops or whatever, and then like advancing your barn to the next level or something. I think
Mhm.
that is the most like detrimental aspect of modern gaming that I've encountered. And
I
anytime I
agree.
get that feeling from a game, I immediately delete it.
So, for example, those kind of games should be the games that children should avoid. As a parent, you should know how to distinguish those games between, educational ones or
But I think
the
like
entertainment
one of my
ones.
good friends plays like he lets his kids play Minecraft, and like he kind of like he sits there with them, and I think with that, if you can game or enjoy the game with your children, I think then that could be a very fun bonding.
I agree.
But I think that from what I've seen, children are like very strongly addicted into these kind of video game like inputs. So even like trying to tear a child away from a fun cartoon program or animated movie, or I'm sure a video game, would be increasingly difficult. And like, so I think that if I was to do that in the future, I think it would be like very sparingly, and then like if earned, or kind of break in case of emergency. I cannot deal with you anymore right now. Need some time. Let's put it
All
that
right, that's you. For me,
way.
I would, treat it as a free time activity for my child. That's it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it to get away from my child. That's only you, I guess.
Well, it's not. Well, the thing is, I know how children, they really like me a lot, so they form this, you know, intense
All right,
connection.
but again, it's
So,
I think it is it has lots of advantages for parenting and child growth.
yeah, look how well you turned out.
Yeah, look how well I turned out. That's a good sentence. I had
Yeah.
nothing else, said about it.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to wrap it up here.
Mhm.
I hope we were able to shed some light to activate some. Man, I think next time I'm going to try and make some topic related metaphors in advance. But
All right.
hopefully we were able to push your hamburger button, and like your L2. Well,
What is a
you know what the
hamburger
hamburger.
button?
Okay. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that.
What's that?
I had the very same question to my friend Steve. He's like, "You should push the hamburger button." It's on the Xbox, and I was like, "What the f is a hamburger button?" And he said, "It's the hamburger button. Everybody knows the hamburger button." And I was like, "I
No.
don't. I just got the freaking Xbox. It on the controller. If you want to wait, I'll get the controller. Okay, you
Okay.
hold here."
Go. Yeah, yeah. Go grab it. The fuck is a hamburger button? Where is my gamepad?
We'll see
Okay.
if yours has it. Okay, so here is the Xbox controller, right?
Yes.
And you can see that there are two kind of administrative buttons, I guess.
Yes.
You see this
Select
one
and
right here?
start.
This one with the three
Option.
parallel lines is called the hamburger button.
No, it's not called the hamburger button. Your friends are from caveman period. That's not called.
What is it called?
Either that one is the start button. On the left is the select. Do you know why they are called that one? By the way, this is a good
uh,
example of how language evolves. I will show
like
you
like
a
okay, if
gamepad.
you went back to the Nintendo, it was the start and the select. So
Yeah,
if anyone is using terminology from 30 years ago, that would be you, I would say.
I would say like this. So, for example, this is a Logitech one for PC, and
Hold it closer, I can't see.
it still has uh, names for it. Like, for example, it says like back, forward, mode, vibration, and this only happens on Xbox. Only Xbox doesn't have names on the buttons. Only icons, and and then what people do is they're like, hey, this looks like a hamburger, and Why it's a hamburger? Because I'm American.
Oh,
We love
so I
hamburgers.
think
I ate hamburger all day, and it turns into a hamburger button. No, it's not a hamburger button. Your friends are
okay.
American.
I'm gonna bring him on as a special guest sometime, and
He's an
I want
American. That's why.
the two of you guys to enjoy this argument. But one could say that since there's no name on there,
Yeah.
no name labeling the button, the name could
So
be
you can call
whatever.
it anything you want. That's how
Yeah,
it
sure.
works.
Anyways, this is the hamburger button, but to me, like I don't really make hamburgers that are like exactly parallel like that. Like I was like, you mean the three lines? He's like, fucking hamburger bun." Like, honestly, like it was amazing the extent to which he was astounded that like
Man, I
a
had
novice
friends.
Xbox user wouldn't know that. So
I
honestly,
had
like
gamer friends from lots of different countries, like both console and PC. I have never heard anyone hold a button a burger button.
no,
That's like
it's a hamburger button.
hamburger button. That's too
Yeah, you
much.
gotta.
That's too American. That's too, I don't know. Too surreal to believe, like hamburger button. But
I would
like
say
yeah.
I would say it's just like direct and to the point, very American style. It's not artistic. You slap a meat on bread and call it a burger. That's all it is. But anyway, so we will get back with you next time. I think next time we will start to we're gonna start a segment called fact checking Serkan, something in that order.
Try your worst.
But it has been great to be here with all of the audience members at another week of Intercultural Concierge. And if you have any questions, comments, if you want to write down below in the chat box about what your favorite games are, experiences, and especially any cultural aspects to your nationality's gaming, please share those with us and our growing community. Any final thoughts there?
Yeah,
Wait,
that's it.
can I ask you one
Yeah.
question? What's your gamer handle? If the people
My
out there
gamer
like
handle is the literal
wanna connect with
translation of
you,
my name. So my
what?
gamer handle currently is Bloody Head Ramson, which is the literal translation of my name into
Bloody Head Remsen?
yes,
What's Remsen?
Ramson,
What?
son of a
Like,
ram, son.
what's a ram? Like rapid eye movement?
Ram is an animal. You ignorant
I
American.
think it's not an ignorance. It's a pronunciation issue, my
Ram.
friend.
Ram
There you
is an
go.
animal. I said
You
Ramson.
said ram. You said Ramson.
Yes, Ramson. If you try to pronounce Ram and Son together, it turns
Ramson.
into Ramson. It
Ramson.
doesn't turn into Ramson. That's how you pronounce
Dude,
sin
I
in the
now it
last.
makes sense this why you like this online gamer community is because you guys can literally just develop any words or ways to say them that suits your interest. And
My last name is son of a ram or ram son. That's it. That's a literal translation of
so
my
why don't we
last
just call
name.
you Lamb?
It's ram.
I know, but like the child of like a child goat or sheep is called a lamb.
No. Or like
Like
let's say yes, but
a
that's not my
ram.
last
The
name.
son of a ram is still like so. Basically, son
It's
is
still a
like
ram. Yes,
so
like
like
son
young.
of a horse is still a
So it's
horse.
like young ram.
Okay, yeah, that will be a young ram. But that's not my last name. I said my gamer handle is the literal translation of my name and surname. Like what you're saying is
So
semantically
your given name, your
correct.
first name means bloody head.
Yes, Serkan means bloody head.
God, I love Turkish people. You guys invented bathing back in the Middle Ages, and you guys
I
call
think
your
my
children a
name
bloody
is
butthurt.
it came from Persian and Arabic roots. It's not actually Turkish.
Yeah, well, like in America, like in American, Jordan means rotted elbow. So
Yeah,
I
that
don't know
your
if you
name
ever heard that
sucks.
interpretation. Okay, bloody head, Ramson, Remsen, Remsen. All right. So there you heard it,
Okay,
folks. Bloody head.
try to prove me wrong on that pronunciation part. When you add son to the last names, it's most often than not pronounced as sin instead of son. That's why I said Ramsin.
You said Remsen. I'm still calling you on the pronunciation of
I
the
said
vowel A.
Ramsin. Ramsin.
I'm
No?
hearing a soft E.
Soft E. Like
I'm hearing
Rimson.
Remsen, like REM sleep. That's why I said rapid eye movement.
Hmm.
So, anyways, let's kill things off here like
All
a good first person shooter would. Any final thoughts for our audience out there? And yeah.
Well, please feel free to share your thoughts with us. We really appreciate your thoughts. Bless me. And then, if you want us to discuss something else next, please also let us know what you want us to talk about from especially from a cultural perspective. Please let us know. But for today, that's it. So farewell, take care, and we will be here again next time.
We are
See you.
your intercultural
Concierge.
Yeah.
See you next time.